to you from Illogicon 2019. And I'm best known as the author of the Menopausal Superhero series, but today I'm going to read from a short story I wrote that was included in Off the Beaten Path 3 by Perspective Press. This is my daylight ghost story called The Girl in the Pool. I was pretty little when we moved here. In the first pictures of me taken in our new house, there are some serious gaps in my smile and a Blue's Clues Band-Aid on my elbow. I couldn't have been older than 7 or 8, all skinned knees and matted hair. Now it's only another few weeks until I leave for college. When I remember my first summer here, it both feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago. I mean, my mom and my stepdad had just gotten married. Now they've been married so long they look alike. I don't even exactly remember what it was like when my mom and my other dad were married, so this is ancient history. I was the flower girl and the maid of honor at their wedding that spring. I wore a pink dress and white sandals that clopped when I walked. I'm cute as a button in those pictures, too. I was excited about my mom getting married, and I liked Stephen, but marrying Stephen meant that we had to move away. His work was down here. I put on my best brave face for them when they told me. No crying or screaming about leaving my friends and my home. I was always a good girl like that. But it was hard, packing up and moving to another state, starting over and trying to make new friends. Everything about the place was weird, from the way people talked and what they ate to the intensely hot weather. The worst was that we arrived in summer, so I had long days stretching out before me and no one to play with. There were other kids in the neighborhood, but they were a lot younger or a lot older than me. There was no one the right age to hang out with. And since I hadn't been to school here yet, I didn't know anyone in any other neighborhoods. I was one lonely kid the first few weeks. Stephen had to work, Mom was busy looking for a job and settling our stuff in the new house, so even she wasn't really playing with me like she usually did. Days are long in the summer, especially when you're on your own. The heat made the days feel even longer. There was a pool in the yard across the street, and I would sit on the swing that my stepdad hung from the big tree in the yard for me, spinning around in a useless circle and watching the hot southern sun sparkling on that empty pool, wishing someone would invite me to go splash around in it. The people who owned the pool were older, like someone's grandparents. They kept the pool for their grandchildren, I guess, but the grandchildren weren't there much, so most of the time that pretty blue water sparkled in the sun with no one to play in it. Stephen wondered why they kept it uncovered when it was used so seldom. The old couple themselves never seemed to get in the water. But the old man was out there every morning skimming the insects and leaves out of the water with a giant long-handled net that I found fascinating. That and the weird socks he wore. Mom said they were compression socks, meant to help with circulation. I thought they made his real legs look like fake ones. After 2 weeks or so, I had established a lonely pattern of cartoons until my mom kicked me out, then puttering around our yard until she called me in to eat. I was sitting out on the swing reading one of the fairy-themed books I was so into that summer when someone called out to me, "Hey, kid!" I looked up. There was a little girl, maybe just a smidge older than me, leaning on the fence around the pool and looking at me. She smiled and waved when she saw me. "I'm Becky. Want to come play with me?" Boy, did I! I ran and I got my mom. She was unpacking yet more kitchen stuff. There was a lot to unpack, combining all of our stuff with all of Stephen's stuff. It was taking a long time to figure out where to put it. Still, Mom was happy to hear I'd had an invitation and took a break to help me find the right things. A few minutes later, I was wearing my swimsuit and carrying a towel and we were crossing the street together. Mom knocked on the door. When a tall, slender woman with tall white hair answered, Mom explained that we were the new neighbors from across the street. "My daughter said that Becky invited her over," Mom said. "Would it be okay if she came over and swam with her?" "Becky?" The woman's voice sounded strangely full of emotion. "Definitely. Please, come in." The lady walked us to the pool and sat drinking lemonade with my mom for a little bit, talking about whatever moms did when they set up playtime for their children. Meanwhile, I dangled my toes in the water and waited for Becky to reappear from wherever she had wandered off to. It didn't take long. I hadn't seen or heard her come back, but there she was, sitting next to me, dangling her toes in the water. "Want to be mermaids?" she asked. I readily agreed, and we spent the whole afternoon playing mermaids in the pool while Becky's grandma watched us. Mom went home after Miss Rita said it was okay. Mom still had a lot to do after all. She gave me a kiss and told me to behave. She didn't say anything to Becky, which was a little rude maybe, but Becky and Miss Rita didn't seem to mind. Ms. Rita did a good job watching us. She stayed by that pool every moment, her eyes focused on us girls playing in the water. Most grown-ups seem to grow tired of watching the children play and wander off after a while to take care of grown-up things, but Ms. Rita was glued to that deck chair, watching like we were the most wonderful thing she'd ever seen. Becky didn't pay her much mind, and after a while, neither did I. When I got home for dinner, several long, wonderful hours later, Mom covered me in lotion and cursed quietly at herself for not getting me better sunscreen. "You're going to have a sunburn, sweetie. I'm so sorry." I did have a sunburn, but that didn't stop me from going over to swim with Becky every day that Mom would let me. I just wore a t-shirt over my swimsuit and a hat while my skin healed. Becky was really lucky. She didn't have to lather up, but she never burned. I was jealous. If anything, she seemed paler than me, but no lobster skin or peely nose for her. "Maybe it's because it's my pool," she said, shrugging. That made a kind of sense to me, like there were pool fairies and they protected the one who owned the pool. Becky never wanted to go to my house or do anything besides swim. That girl must have been part fish. I swear she lived in the pool. I didn't mind much. I was still having a hard time adjusting to the southern heat. Being able to play in the pool until I was waterlogged was heavenly. I always invited Becky when we went to the zoo or the park or out to ice cream or anything, but she always said that she couldn't. Mom thought maybe her grandma was just really protective about who she rode in a car with. Ms. Rita would bring out snacks and juice for us and tell me that I was no bother at all and I should stay as long as I'd like. She was happy to see us girls playing so nicely together. She brought out an enormous collection of pool toys that she had stashed somewhere, and Becky squealed with delight over them. Becky sure brightened up my summer. I remember noticing one day that she always wore the same swimsuit. It was made of something different than mine, something more like the stuff regular clothes were made out of. It was light blue with white stripes and had ruffles around the top and around the bikini bottom. I found it a little surprising that she would still wear ruffles when she was as big as me. I had several different bathing suits: a red bikini with a bottom that looked like a cheerleader skirt, a bright green whole piece with a crisscross on the back that I was always getting twisted up when I tried to put it on by myself, a tankini with a seahorse on the chest. By the end of summer, I had a mass of various tan lines from all the different straps on these swimsuits. When I asked Becky why she always wore the same swimsuit, she just shrugged. "I don't know. I just like it, I guess." She sounded mad, though I couldn't understand why that would make her angry. Trying to make her feel better, I told her it was pretty, but she still pulled at the ruffles, scowling. Splashing away, she dived into the deep end and just sat there on the bottom of the pool looking up at me. Her long hair billowed out around her like seaweed. No air bubbles came from her mouth or nose. Her eyes were open and seemed to almost glow through the water. It was creepy. When she finally came back up, after staying down so long that I had started to worry, I told her that she looked like a real mermaid with her hair floating out like that. That seemed to make her happy again, and we raced across the pool doing different kinds of crazy strokes for a while. We swam with only one arm, or with our feet and no arms at all. We dived down and walked on our hands on the bottom of the pool, our bare legs sticking up out of the water like skinny tree branches. We turned somersaults until I swallowed some pool water and had to cough it out. Miss Rita just sat in the pool chair and watched us, hour after hour. I thought she must be bored, but she said she wasn't. "No, honey, it's fine. It does my heart good." Becky only came to visit during pool weather. She was never here at Christmas or during the winter. When I asked Miss Rita when Becky would visit again, she never seemed to know. She'd just say, "She'll come when she can, darling. I'll have the pool ready for her." There aren't any pictures of me and Becky that I can find. When I asked Mom, she helped me look, and she was just as surprised as me to find out that there weren't any. After all, we'd been so close that summer and for another summer or two after that. We'd play all day together whenever she was visiting her grandma. You'd think someone would have taken some pictures of the two of us. We found some of me clowning and posing at the pool, but none with Becky in them. I wish there were. I'd really like to see one, to be sure it wasn't something my memory and family resemblance playing a trick on me. Because I'm pretty sure I saw Becky again today. See, Stephen and my mom had another kid after they'd been married a few years. Jean is 7 this summer, 10 years younger than me. Mom says she looks so much like me at the same age that it's like deja vu. Of course, we're also very different. Jean is an outgoing little monster, the kind of person who can talk to anyone. She'll know your deepest secret within 10 minutes of meeting you. When I got home from the soccer tournament I was playing in today, Jean was across the street playing in Miss Rita's pool. Mom asked me to go get her so we could all get some supper together. I ran across the grass along the same path I had taken all those summers ago, my cleats scraping on the garden stones. Jean's a good kid. She came right away when I called her, wrapping herself up in a raggedy strawberry shortcake towel that I'm pretty sure used to be mine. "Bye, Becky. I gotta go," she called, reaching up to undo the latch and let herself out to join me on the path. I looked back at the pool, and just for a moment, I thought I saw my Becky there, elbows resting on the pool edge, the same girl I had played with all those summers ago. And then it was like I blinked, and she was just gone. I asked Jean about her on the way home. "What's your friend's name?" "Becky." "That's neat. I had a friend named Becky when I was your age. We used to swim together in Miss Rita's pool, too." "Yeah, I know," she said simply, in that matter-of-fact way of hers. "She told me, but you got too old to play with." A chill went down my spine. I got too old? "Yeah, Becky's always 8. You can't play with her if you get too old. She said to tell you hello, though. She always liked playing with you."